We spent all of Friday morning getting the last of our 2x6s we needed cut. We ended up cutting a lot of 2x6x12s. We figured you can always turn a 2x6x12 into a 2x6x10 if you need to. Once we got that done, then there was a bunch of stuff we had to get finished up and taken back to town, a lot of stuff we'd rented. When we got back, we had about 2 hours till it was dark. We still hadn't consolidated our lumber. It just wasn't going to happen. I had high hopes of building a solar kiln to dry all my wood in for the 2 months I'll be gone. Not only did I not get the wood all in one place, I certainly wasn't going to get a solar kiln built in 2 hours. What we came up with was a simple tarp technique. Basically, attach the tarp to the top of the stack, then we have these kind of open walls that we'll attach the tarp to that allows airflow through the stickers on the sides. The lumber that we need for the roof, I had a couple of solar fans that I'd bought with the hopes of building a solar kiln. We're going to attach those fans on the 2x8 by 10s and 12s since we want that as dry as possible. We noticed one of our solar fan panels got busted in shipping. I don't know if that's even going to work. But in the end, we should get airflow through the lumber while we're gone. Hopefully, we don't get any huge winds and the tarps will stay intact. It's just 6mm plastic that we picked up at the hardware store. I didn't have time to cut lumber to fit. I actually ended up using my deck footer lumber that I'd built, or that I'd cut earlier, repurposed it for these semi-walls. It actually worked pretty well. It saved me probably an hour of cutting lumber. Now it's getting nigh onto dark. We're starting to feel the urgency of things now. Basically, we put one of our waste pieces of lumber on top that's kind of domed. Hopefully that'll give the plastic a little bit of slope. Then we use ratchet straps to keep the stack together. Ideally, you'd be able to come back every couple of weeks and tighten those ratchet straps. As the lumber shrinks, those straps will get loose. That'll keep your boards from warping. I'm not going to have that luxury because I won't be back for 2 months. In the end, it's just going to be what it's going to be. Our ratchet straps didn't turn out to be long enough, so we ended up using small pieces of webbing to be able to make them long enough to connect underneath. Again, not very difficult, but definitely added time to the whole process. The stickers we used to space the wood had a lot of sharp ends pointing out the back, so I used a chainsaw to cut them all the length. Didn't want them poking the plastic in the event of a strong wind. We attached the plastic to the waste piece of lumber that'll give us our slope roof. We then used furring strips to attach the plastic to our open walls. Here I am getting the solar fan ready. Gets a lot harder as you lose light. Also, not a super expensive fan, and so attaching the connectors actually took me a lot of time. I also struggled with simple concepts. The way we put the wall together, things weren't even. I was fighting it pretty hard. My wife was like, "Oh, just turn the board over and then it'll be smooth." Thank goodness I had somebody with a voice of reason. We then attached the plastic to that wall with furring strips. By now, we're doing stuff by flashlight. Then we screw some furring strips to the side of the pile just to keep the plastic from becoming a sail, hopefully. Because of the varied lengths of board, there wasn't a real nice solid smooth surface to attach it to, but we did the best we could. Now we have to work by headlight. Here I am attaching the solar panels. I doubt my angle's right, but as long as it turns the fan, that's all that'll matter. The goal is just to get as much air moving between the lumber as possible. Fortunately, with the humid climate we're in, I don't have to dry the boards as much as you would in the desert. Here I am struggling with that connector. I just couldn't seem to get it to work. I swear it took me about 5 minutes of fiddling before I finally got it connected. Hopefully it'll keep the rain out though. One of the things we didn't record was gathering a bunch of big rocks, every one we could find in the dark, to place on the bottom of those walls to keep them from blowing over in a strong wind. I still don't think my back's forgiven me, but we found a few 100 pounds to weight those walls down. I don't think they're going anywhere. With the connector finally attached, we moved on to the other piles that still needed to be covered. Now it was getting really dark.
So the last day of the 2-week trip to work on the cabin, it never fails. No matter how nice the weather is, the day we're packing up, it will always rain because nothing like putting away wet stuff back into a cabin. Kind of what we've taken to doing is drying everything off and then taking the towels home. But care of them there. I'm always terrified that when I get back to the cabin, it's going to be full of mold and nastiness. But so far, that's worked pretty good. We got everything done. Just kind of touch and go. We're up to 5. Have to check in, get ready to go at 7. It was about 7:15 by the time we finally made it. We were up late last night trying to get the wood covered until about midnight, and then I would work at 4 because I'm always terrified I'm going to get there late. We always, but yeah, good time. Always cry a little bit, and when it's time to leave, it makes me sad. It'll be another 3 or 4 months before I can come back. But probably one of the funnest 2 weeks I've had. Everything I got to do, all the new stuff I got to learn this trip.